Imagine this. You're sitting in a cafe, sipping coffee, scrolling through your phone. You just saw a post from a friend who's traveling in Italy, another post about a celebrity scandal, and a news update about something terrible happening across the world. Your mind is jumping from one thing to another. Past regrets, future worries, other people's lives. But where are you really? Are you even present in that cafe? Or are you lost in a digital maze that constantly pulls you away from reality? This is the modern human experience. We are more distracted than ever, constantly pulled between nostalgia for the past and anxiety for the future. Social media, notifications, and endless streams of content make us believe that life is happening somewhere else in some other time. But the truth is, the only thing that truly exists, the only thing that is real, is this moment, right now. Science backs this up. Neuroscience explains that our memories of the past are just reconstructions, not actual recordings. Every time we remember something, we slightly alter it, filling in gaps with our current emotions and biases. The past, as we recall it, is not fixed. It's an evolving story in our minds. And what about the future? The future is pure imagination. No matter how much we plan, predict, or worry, it remains uncertain. Studies in psychology show that humans are terrible at predicting what will make them happy or unhappy. We overestimate future pain, underestimate our ability to adapt, and chase goals that, when achieved, feel hollow. But the present? The present is the only place where life actually happens. It's the only moment where we have control, the only moment where joy, love, and action are possible. Yet, we spend most of our time anywhere but the present. Think about it. When was the last time you truly felt the warmth of the sun on your skin without checking your phone? When was the last time you looked someone in the eye and listened without thinking about what to say next? How often do you truly experience the moment without distraction? The ancient Stoics, Buddhist monks, and even modern-day psychologists all emphasize the same truth. Happiness and peace are found in the present moment, nowhere else. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." Epictetus taught, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment of them." These ideas are not just philosophy, they are a survival guide for the modern world. So today, we're going to uncover why the present moment is the only thing that truly exists. We'll dive deep into the illusions of the past and future, the science behind mindfulness, and the power of presence in a world that constantly pulls us away. Let's go start. Number 1. The past is just a reconstruction of memory, not reality. We like to think of our memories as a perfect recording of the past, like a video we can replay in our minds. But the truth is far more complex. Your past is not an objective reality. It's a story your brain constantly rewrites. Neuroscience have discovered that every time we recall a memory, we don't retrieve an exact copy of what happened. Instead, our brain reconstructs it, filling in gaps with details influenced by our current emotions, beliefs, and even external influences. In simple terms, memories are not stored like files in a computer. They are rewritten every time we access them. The science of memory distortion. In a famous study by psychologist Elizabeth Loftus, participants were shown footage of a car accident and then asked how fast the cars were going. Interestingly, the phrasing of the question altered their memories. When asked, how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other? Participants reported higher speeds than when the word hit was used. Some even recalled seeing broken glass, something that wasn't actually in the video. This experiment highlights a crucial fact. Memories are not fixed. They are highly malleable and influenced by how we recall them. If something as simple as a question can reshape a memory, imagine how much our emotions, biases, and life experiences modify our perception of the past. Your brain edits the past to fit the present. Your brain is not interested in preserving the past perfectly. It's interested in making sense of your current reality. Every time you recall a past event, your brain subtly updates it based on what you know now. If you've had a falling out with a friend, your mind might exaggerate their past flaws. If you're feeling nostalgic, you might remember your childhood as more magical than it really was. This explains why two people can recall the same event differently. The past is not one fixed truth. It's a personal interpretation shaped by memory bias, the illusion of nostalgia and regret. Many people romanticize the past, believing things were better before, but this feeling is often an illusion caused by selective memory. Studies show that we tend to remember positive moments more than negative ones. Your childhood may seem carefree now, but at the time, you had worries that your brain has simply discarded. On the flip side, regret is another trick of memory. When we look back at past mistakes, we often judge them based on who we are today. But the past version of you didn't have the wisdom or experience you have now. Judging your past actions with today's knowledge is unfair. It's like blaming a child for not knowing something only an adult could understand. The only reality is now. If the past is constantly changing in our minds, can we really say it exists as an objective truth? The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The present moment is all you ever have." And he was right. The past is just a reconstruction, a mental story that evolves over time. But the present is happening right now, and it's the only thing you can truly experience. So why waste energy dwelling on something that isn't as real as you think? Number 2, the future is just a mental projection, never a certainty. We spend an overwhelming amount of our lives worrying about the future, thinking about what might happen, what could go wrong, or what we need to do to ensure success. But the harsh truth is, the future is never in our control. It is nothing more than a mental projection, a collection of fears and hopes that exist only in our imagination. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Most of the things we fear never happen, yet we waste countless hours and emotional energy worrying about things that may never come to pass. This endless cycle of anxiety is not just useless, it actively steals our ability to live in the present. The illusion of control over the future. Many people believe that if they plan well enough, prepare hard enough, or worry long enough, they can control the future. But this is a dangerous illusion. Think about it. Did you predict every major event that shaped your life? Did you know exactly where you'd be 5 years ago? Life is unpredictable. You might set a goal, but external events, economic crashes, personal tragedies, or unexpected opportunities can change everything in an instant. The pandemic was a clear example. Millions of people had their futures planned out, only to see everything shift overnight. This doesn't mean we shouldn't plan at all, but it does mean that worrying excessively about the future is pointless because reality will never unfold exactly as we expect. The psychological trap of future anxiety. Why do we get trapped in future anxiety? It's because our minds are wired to seek security. Neuroscience have found that the brain dislikes uncertainty. It sees unpredictability as a potential threat, which is why we obsessively try to predict and prepare. But here's the paradox. The more we try to control the uncontrollable, the more anxious we become. A study published in Behavior Research and Therapy found that people who frequently worry about the future experience heighten levels of stress, even when nothing bad actually happens. Their bodies respond as if a crisis is already occurring. This means that worrying about the future doesn't just ruin your present, it tricks your mind and body into experiencing pain that isn't even real. The emotional toll of living in the future. Think about the last time you truly enjoyed something, a meal, a conversation, a beautiful sunset. Now imagine if, during that moment, You were obsessing over what might happen tomorrow. Did you really enjoy it? When we live in the future, we sacrifice the only moment we actually have, the present. It's like being given a delicious meal, but spending the entire time worrying about your next meal instead of enjoying the one in front of you. This is why people often feel like life is passing them by. They're physically present but mentally absent, lost in a future that hasn't even happened. And the saddest part, that future moment they are worrying about, when it finally arrives, they will be too busy worrying about another future to enjoy it. The only thing that matters is now. If the future is never guaranteed, and if worrying about it only causes stress, what's the solution? The answer is simple but profound. Shift your focus to the present. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." In other words, focus on what you can do right now. This doesn't mean ignoring responsibility or avoiding long-term thinking. It means understanding that the only time you can truly act, feel, and experience life is now. Next time you find yourself anxious about the future, ask yourself, is this problem happening right now? Can I take action on it at this moment? Or am I simply letting my imagination create unnecessary stress? The more you embrace the present, the less power the future holds over you. Because in the end, the future isn't real, it's just a possibility. But this moment is yours. Number 3, emotions, experiences, and happiness are only possible in the present. Imagine you have a cup of coffee in your hands. It's warm, rich, and aromatic. But as you sip, your eyes are glued to your phone, scrolling through social media, worrying about work, or thinking about your plans for tomorrow. Now ask yourself, did you really experience that coffee? Did you feel its warmth? Did you taste its flavor? Or did the moment pass you by unnoticed? This simple example reflects a deep truth. Happiness, emotions, and experiences do not exist in the past or the future. They only exist right now, in the present moment. The illusion of future happiness. Most people live their lives believing happiness is a goal they will reach in the future. They tell themselves, I'll be happy when I get a better job. Once I have more money, I'll enjoy life. When I finally settle down, I'll be at peace. But here's the problem. The future is always ahead of us. As soon as we reach one milestone, another appears. We think, once I achieve X, I will be happy. But when we get there, we set another condition for happiness. This is known as the arrival fallacy, the false belief that happiness will come once we reach a certain goal. Psychologist Tad Ben-Sharia describes this phenomenon in his research, showing how even after achieving success, people often feel empty and immediately start chasing the next goal. True happiness is never in the future. It can only exist right now. The science of presence and joy, neuroscience, backs this idea. Studies on mindfulness show that people who practice living in the present experience lower levels of stress, anxiety, and depression. A Harvard study found that our minds wander nearly 47% of the time, and when they do, we are less happy. The conclusion? A wandering mind is an unhappy mind. When you are fully present, whether it's while eating, talking to a loved one, or simply breathing, you activate the brain's reward centers, increasing feelings of joy and reducing stress. On the other hand, when you constantly think about the past or worry about the future, you activate the brain's fear response. Your body enters a state of tension, even if nothing bad is happening right now. This is why people who constantly seek happiness in the future often feel more stressed and dissatisfied. They are missing the only place happiness can exist, the present, the Stoic wisdom on living now. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that if you cannot find happiness in the present, you will never find it in the future. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." He meant that life is happening right now, not tomorrow or next year. Seneca echoed this thought, saying, "You are afraid of dying, but how is that any different from never living at all? To truly live means to embrace the moment you are in, not the one you hope to reach someday. How to experience life fully. If you want to feel emotions deeply, experience joy, and live fully, you must train yourself to be present. Here's how. Engage your senses. When you eat, taste the food. When you listen to music, hear every note. When you hug someone, feel their warmth. Limit distractions. Put your phone down when talking to a friend. Avoid multitasking when doing something meaningful. Practice gratitude. Instead of thinking about what's missing, focus on what's here, right now. Observe your thoughts. Notice when your mind drifts to the past or future and gently bring it back to the now. Number 4, time never stops. We are the ones who stay stuck. Nature is in constant motion. Trees grow, rivers flow, the sun rises and sets. Everything in the universe keeps moving forward, never looking back. Yet, as humans, we often get stuck, not physically, but mentally. We replay past regrets, dwell on mistakes, or worry about what the future holds. While time moves forward, we hold ourselves back. Nature's truth: there is no going back. Look at a river. It never stops flowing. The water you see now will never be in the same place again. The same goes for everything in nature. A tree cannot shrink back into a seed. A sunset cannot reverse itself and rise in the same moment. Even our own bodies change every second. Cells die, new ones form, and we are never the same person as we were yesterday. Yet, while nature embraces change, we resist it. We wish we could go back to correct past mistakes. We fear the future so much that we refuse to step into it. In doing so, we create an artificial stillness in our minds, something that does not exist anywhere in nature. The mental trap of being frozen in time. When we cling to the past or fear the future, we mentally trap ourselves in an illusion. Neuroscience has shown that our brains do not differentiate much between imagination and reality. When you regret something from your past, your brain relives it as if it's happening again, triggering the same emotions of guilt or sadness. When you worry about the future, your body reacts as if the threat is real, increasing stress and anxiety. This is why so many people feel overwhelmed. They are living in multiple timelines at once, regretting the past. Why did I do that? Fearing the future. What if things go wrong? Ignoring the present. I'll enjoy life later. But life does not wait. Every second you spend stuck in your mind is a second of real life slipping away. What if your best childhood memories were lost in distraction? Think about the happiest moment from your childhood. Maybe it was running outside in the rain, playing with friends, or feeling loved by family. Now imagine if, during that moment, you had been scrolling through a phone, distracted, or lost in worry. Would that memory even exist? This is exactly what happens to many people today. They miss the small joys of life: laughter with a friend, a beautiful sunset, a quiet moment of peace, because their minds are elsewhere. The question is, are you truly experiencing your life or just watching it slip by? Stoic wisdom: accept the flow of time. The Stoics understood that time is beyond our control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is not a morbid thought. It's a call to live fully. If you knew time was always moving forward, would you waste it dwelling on the past or fearing the future? Seneca also warned against living as if we have unlimited time. While we are postponing, life speeds by. How to live in the flow of time. If you want to stop feeling stuck, you must learn to move with time, not against it. Here's how. Accept that the past is unchangeable. Learn from it, but don't live in it. Let go of the illusion of control. The future will unfold as it will. Focus on what you can do now. Practice presence. When you eat, taste the food. When you talk to someone, truly listen. Limit distractions. Reduce time spent on things that pull you out of the moment. excessive phone use, overthinking, etc. Number 5, the present moment is the only thing we control. Take a deep breath. Feel the air entering your lungs. Listen to the sounds around you. Feel your feet against the ground. This moment is all you truly have. You cannot change the past. It is already written, beyond your reach. You cannot control the future. It is uncertain, shaped by forces beyond your grasp. But the present is in your hands. The illusion of control over the past and future. Many people spend their lives stuck in two places that don't exist. The past, filled with regret, guilt, and nostalgia. The future, filled with anxiety, fear, and uncertainty. They replay old mistakes in their minds, wishing they had done things differently, or they worry about what is coming, believing they can control what hasn't even happened yet. But here's the truth. No amount of thinking can rewrite history. No amount of worry can guarantee the future. The only way to shape your life is by acting now. The Stoic perspective. Control what you can, let go of what you can't. The Stoic philosophers deeply understood this. They believed that we only have control over our actions and thoughts in the present moment, nothing else. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic teachers, said, "Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control and some things are not." What is not in your control? The opinions of others, the outcome of your efforts, the passing of time, the unpredictable events of life. What is in your control? How you respond to challenges, the effort you put into each moment, the thoughts you choose to focus on, the actions you take right now. This is why Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic thinker, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The present builds the future. Many people think the future is something far away, something separate from the present. But in reality, the future is just a collection of present moments. If you want to be healthy in the future, you must make healthy choices today. If you want to be successful in your career, you must work hard now. If you want meaningful relationships, you must nurture them in this moment. The future is not something you wait for. It is something you create moment by moment. Why focusing on the present brings peace? There is a deep peace in accepting that you only control this moment. It frees you from unnecessary suffering. Instead of stressing over what you cannot change, you focus on what you can do. Instead of fearing the unknown, you embrace the certainty of now. Instead of chasing happiness in the future, you find joy in this very second. This is why mindfulness, the practice of staying present, is scientifically proven to reduce stress, increase happiness, and improve overall well-being. How to take control of the present. Ask yourself, what can I do right now? Instead of worrying about what might happen, take action in the present. Practice gratitude. Instead of focusing on what's missing, appreciate what you have right now. Limit distractions. Put away your phone, avoid multitasking, and give your full attention to the present. Let go of the past and future. When your mind drifts, remind yourself that only this moment matters. Number 6, suffering and pain only arise when we neglect the present. Think about the last time you felt truly overwhelmed, stressed, or sad. Was it because of something happening right now? Or was it because you were dwelling on the past or fearing the future? Most of our suffering doesn't come from what is happening in the present moment. It comes from our inability to accept it. When we reject the present moment, we create emotional turmoil. The root of suffering, denying the present. The majority of our pain and discomfort come from our refusal to accept the present as it is. When we look back at the past with regret or look forward to the future with fear, we are living outside the present. Regret makes us wish that things had turned out differently, but in doing so, we create an internal conflict with reality. Fear of the future creates anxiety as we imagine the worst-case scenarios, which may or may not even happen. But if we simply stop and observe the present moment, we begin to see that the world around us is not causing us pain. It's our thoughts and emotions about the past or future that do. Epicurus and the nature of pain. The ancient Greek philosopher Epicurus famously said, "The greatest wealth is to live content with little." He understood that most of our suffering arises from desiring things beyond our control or living in regret of what has already passed. His teachings focused on accepting the present, appreciating what you have, and letting go of unnecessary desires. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus also acknowledged that suffering comes from not accepting the present. He said, "What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about these things." When we label an experience as bad or painful, we begin to suffer. However, the event itself is neutral. It's our interpretation and resistance to it that causes emotional pain. The power of the present moment. If you stop right now and focus on your immediate surroundings, what do you feel? The air in your lungs, the weight of your body against the ground, the warmth of the sun or the coolness of the breeze. In this moment, if you truly feel, can you say you have a problem? Perhaps your mind tries to pull you back into the past. "I wish I had done things differently," or it pulls you into the future. What will happen next? But when you focus on your breath, your body, the world around you, you realize there is no problem right now. The role of mindfulness in reducing suffering. Mindfulness, the practice of being fully present in the moment, has been shown to significantly reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. Studies have found that people who practice mindfulness have lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, and experience more overall satisfaction with life. By practicing mindfulness, we can retrain our minds to stay focused on the present, accepting things as they are instead of resisting them. In this way, we can eliminate much of the emotional suffering that comes from unnecessary thoughts about the past and future. The Stoic approach. Accepting what is Marcus Aurelius, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers and Roman emperors, frequently wrote about the importance of accepting the present. In his meditations, he wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is not a dark or morbid thought. Rather, it is an invitation to embrace the current moment, knowing that it is the only thing you can control. By acknowledging that the present is all you have, and by accepting it without resistance, you free yourself from suffering. When you stop dwelling on the past or fearing the future, you open yourself to peace and tranquility in the present. How to stop the cycle of pain. Notice your thoughts. When you find yourself lost in regret or worry, take a moment to observe your thoughts without judgment. Recognize that these thoughts are not the present moment. Practice mindfulness. Focus on your senses, your breath, what you can see, hear, and touch. Engage fully with your surroundings. Accept what is. Let go of resistance to the present moment. Even if something uncomfortable is happening, realize that it, too, is part of life, and it will pass. Shift your perspective. When you feel pain, ask yourself, what is really happening right now? Often, the pain is in your mind, not in your environment. Number 7, death teaches us that the only truth is the present. One of the most profound teachings of Stoicism is the concept of memento mori, remember that you will die. While this phrase may initially seem morbid or depressing, it is in fact a profound reminder that our time on this earth is finite, our lives are not guaranteed, and every moment is precious. Understanding the inevitability of death can lead us to a deeper appreciation for the present moment, encouraging us to live more fully and meaningfully. The reality of life's limitations. We live in a world where we often take time for granted. We believe we have unlimited days ahead, that the future is guaranteed, and that we have all the time in the world to get things right. Yet, no matter how much we may try to avoid it, Death is the one certainty we all face. The ancient Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. When we fail to recognize the limits of time, we waste it. We squander it on trivial matters, things that don't matter in the grand scheme of life. We spend endless hours scrolling through social media, getting lost in petty distractions, and postponing what truly matters." But imagine, what would you do if you knew today was the last day of your life? Would you spend it worrying about the future, or would you choose to cherish the present, the gift of time? Let's take a moment and reflect. Imagine that the end of your life is imminent. If you knew that your time was running out, what would you prioritize? Would you keep checking your phone or get lost in the virtual world? Or would you seek out the people who matter most to you and embrace them in the here and now? If you knew the end was near, would you still dwell on past mistakes or worry about things that haven't even happened yet? Or would you recognize that the only moment that truly exists is now? The answer is simple. You would focus on the present. You would choose to savor every moment. You would recognize how fleeting life is and how important it is to fully experience each passing second. Stoic wisdom: live as if today were your last. The Stoics encouraged us to keep death at the forefront of our minds, not to make us fearful, but to make us more conscious of how we use our time. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his Meditations, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." By remembering death, we do not become morbid or depressed. Rather, we become more present, more intentional, and more deliberate with how we live. This awareness pushes us to act with purpose, to focus on what truly matters, and to stop procrastinating or wasting time. How death refines our priorities. When we face the reality of our own mortality, we are forced to confront what truly matters. The things we think are urgent often aren't as important as we believe. When death looms in our awareness, we see that the pursuit of material wealth becomes insignificant compared to the love and connection we share with others. Social validation and status lose their power over us when we realize that people will remember us not for our achievements, but for our kindness, compassion, and the way we made them feel. Future worries seem less pressing as we understand that what we do in the present is what shapes our future, not distant fears or hopes. The power of the present moment. By embracing memento mori, we free ourselves from the unnecessary distractions and worries that keep us from living in the moment. Each moment, no matter how small, becomes valuable. Conversations become meaningful. You listen more intently to the people around you, savoring their words and presence, because you understand that tomorrow is never guaranteed. Actions become intentional. You begin to choose what you do with your time based on what brings you joy and fulfillment, rather than what others expect of you or what feels safe. Relationships become deeper. You no longer take people for granted, and you cherish the moments spent with loved ones, knowing that time is precious and fleeting. How to embrace memento mori in your life. Reflect on mortality. Take time to acknowledge that life is short. Meditate on the idea that you are not promised another day. Prioritize what matters. Focus on what brings you peace, joy, and fulfillment, whether that's spending time with loved ones, pursuing meaningful work, or simply enjoying nature. Live with intention. Every action, every choice, every conversation becomes an opportunity to live more fully. Ask yourself if this moment is worthy of your time and attention. Let go of unnecessary distractions. Stop wasting time on things that don't serve your purpose. Social media, unimportant worries, and mindless tasks all pull you away from the present. Conclusion: in a world that often pushes us to chase the future or dwell on the past, we must remind ourselves that the present moment is all we truly have. The past is a collection of fading memories, and the future is uncertain, built on hopes and fears that may never come to be. However, the present, right here, right now, is the only place where life truly happens. By reflecting on the teachings of Stoicism and the wisdom of memento mori, we can begin to see how precious time is. Each second is an opportunity to live fully, connect deeply, and act intentionally. The distractions of social media, the weight of past regrets, and the anxiety of future uncertainties all pull us away from what truly matters. But when we focus on the present, we realize that this moment is enough. When we embrace the present, we not only improve our own lives, but we also enhance the lives of those around us. Our relationships become deeper, our work more meaningful, and our joy more genuine. The present is where happiness, fulfillment, and peace reside. As we move forward, let's remember that death is a constant reminder of the preciousness of time. Instead of letting it paralyze us, we can use it to inspire action, appreciation, and presence in every moment. So, if you found value in this message, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's spread the wisdom of living fully in the present and encourage others to embrace each moment as their most valuable gift. Remember, the present is all we have. Make it count.